I want to say something. When we try and talk to the back without the mics, they are the guys out there.
Now I can't hear you.
Out there?
There you go.
Fucking Dukes.
Oh, right, he's here.
Yes.
Dude, I thought you were saying his Clemmer's mic on.
No, I'm saying might as well go. You could go say hi to him, tell him what's going on.
You want me to try leave right now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Go tell him
facilitator.
Go soon. Yeah, Dukes. Shout out Dukes for getting him today.
Yeah, big get.
But he's
couple dating along.
Also, man, this guy is
Dude, he's perfect.
Awesome.
He's perfect.
Welcome to Pick Central. We are presented by Barstool Sports, and today we have a big guest. We all had to do our homework for the Bishop Sycamore documentary, which was amazing.
Fantastic.
We have the matchmaker.
So what is his actual name before he comes in? Because Dukes has been referring to him. Oh, we all have kind of Dukes. What's his name?
Are we allowed to say his name? His name was on there, right?
His name's on there, but I kind of like we'll just call him the matchmaker.
Well, I don't want to be
now.
disrespectful.
Obviously
Let's wait for Rico to get in here and stuff.
What?
I was like, can you just tell me what his name is?
Yeah, we could, hypothetically. But right now, I like the matchmaker. The matchmaker.
But I don't want to disrespect the guy. I want to.
I guess
I didn't want to look at the prep sheet. I didn't want to look at because I wanted to go in kind of blind to what he has to say.
Yeah, it's Joe Maimone. He's a Dayton alumni. So we have the Flyer connection there. Really
Joe
nice guy.
Maimone?
Yeah.
Of course.
Really nice guy.
I mean,
Reyes.
He might have been he had to be an extra in Sopranos.
He took me to Reyes. Does that make sense? When you see this guy and you're like,
I remember seeing your
Reyes is hard to get into.
Yeah,
he has a family table.
He has a family table there?
Yeah.
Yeah, so this guy's big time.
Okay.
Big time.
You could just tell by the way he's standing.
We'll talk. He's got good posture.
A good posture. We'll have him come in once Rico is taking it upon himself to stay on hold on KSR Radio.
What is this about?
It's Big Cat and PFT are doing a Kentucky radio thing. They do it every year. It's a great show. They do 2 hours of all Kentucky radio.
Didn't you do it one time? You went
I
on
went on
because you were talking Kentucky?
Yeah, I went on KSR. They're great guys. I actually really like them. Good show. But Rico has to do his bits and is calling in as Joey from Lexington.
No, I think Joe from Louisville.
Joey from Louisville.
What a loony he is for also saying that he's like, I'm on hold with KSR. No, you're on hold with Pardon My Take.
Pardon My Take. You talk to them every day, and we have your own show that he's not on. And I'm like, what an insane move that is.
I told him just sit down and just do the call live on our show.
Or fucking hang up and do your own show that you talk on.
Yeah.
That's insane. I'm sure that's what Big Cat and PFT want to do is talk to Rico when they have 2 hours with Kentucky fans.
And he's going to put on some accent. I guarantee Big Cat's going to know immediately.
You're like, what are you doing, Rico? Yeah.
He's going to be like, whatever. I don't know the Kentucky accent.
I never knew Bosco turned into a bit guy, but hey, here we are. We'll talk when he gets in. We can have, because now I feel bad. We should just have.
He got
him
here
in.
early. I told him to come at 11:20, 11:30, so we could talk.
Successful people get.
So we could put the sports back in Barstool Sports for a little bit.
Get places early.
He refuses to sit down.
I know, and I love him.
Pacing back and forth.
He's ready to go. He's a star now.
Early.
He's a star.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into some topics before we get into our guest. Did you see that fucking Mookie Betts? Acuna got hugged last night.
Yeah, that was very bizarre.
I didn't like
that was kind of frightening. Obviously watching it, I knew he was just getting hugged. But that clip was, if you think back to Monica Seles getting stabbed, who knows what these people are going to do?
Yes, I don't like, so.
Well, then the other guy comes in too.
Yes.
The second guy really made it. He knocked the guy over. He knocked him over.
Acuna, that was a flop, right? That's flop on.
Kind of, but
flop,
you fall down the wrong way, you get hurt. The whole thing is, what is Atlanta security doing? Why does it take so long to get there?
Well, listen, the first thing they need to do is, I think sometimes when they run on the field, it's funny, but don't go to any of the players. Just run around.
Yes.
Don't try and hurt anybody. It's crazy that there's not a better system of fucking putting things by right behind the wall or something where people can't jump over it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you only can do so much in terms of.
I almost feel like you can put fucking something that will hurt them if they jump over.
What do you put a shot collar on him?
Spikes or
Like
something?
fucking barbed wire.
Barbed wire over the fence.
So I should say it's not Atlanta's security. Excuse me. It's Colorado security. It was a road game they were playing in Denver against the Rockies.
Listen, it's
That they really need to do a better job.
altitude's tough for those security guards.
No, that needs to be covered better. There's no way. And like you said, the second guy got there. What's going on?
Yeah,
Like,
one guy
that
getting there is fine.
took way too long.
It still throws me off like how common this was back in the day.
Yes.
Where like you see the iconic like Hank Aaron hits the home run for the most home runs of all time.
I know.
Past Babe Ruth, and there are two guys just like run up to him.
There used to be a woman named the Kissing.
Well,
Man.
he's like not he hasn't even reached third base yet. They're like they're like arm in arm with him. Granted, thank God they were like
Right.
they were friendly. They were not like
Yes.
there to do anything bad to him. But just wild how like that many years ago people could just so freely get in the field with no punishment, no anything.
Have you seen the golf one where they dive at the hole for the last ball?
Yes, that one's fucking awesome.
I don't know if I have seen that.
I've
maybe
seen that
I've-
one.
maybe it's in a while.
Amazing.
In the 80s, there was a woman that used to run in the field and kiss the players.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Kissing bandit, they call it.
Went to Ripken, right?
Dan Mullen's
It was a
wife.
bunch of guys. She would go to, she'd pop up all the time.
I went to the Colorado Rockies game the other day, like last week when I was visiting Colorado. The fact that happened at that stadium, I fully understand it. There's no security on in the first rows. It seems like.
Yeah, I mean it's
believe it.
it's very easy to do. Like if you're in left field in most stadiums or right field, you usually can do it.
Tough to do in Fenway in left field.
Well, obviously not every stadium you
Just
fucking
fucking with you. You got a chip on your shoulder today. Marty's got a
do.
little edge to him.
I do.
What's going on with you? What's going on? Why are you so angry?
Feels good.
Yeah. You just
No,
mad?
I'm not angry. It just feels good to be on my toes.
Okay.
You know, I'm sick of people.
All right.
What I'm sick of, well, actually, before we get to what I'm sick of, Mookie Betts past Acuna is now the favorite to win NL MVP. Like I said the other day when we were talking about the Bond shit, I still feel like Mookie Betts isn't being talked about as much this year.
This would be his second MVP if he wins. I think it is going to come down to the real end there with Acuna. I mean, Acuna is having an amazing year. He's going to have 30 home runs, 60 stolen bases, never been done before. Like he is having an insane for a all-time great team. But Mookie Betts is something else, isn't he? He really is.
Amazing.
He is our generation's Hank Aaron. You know, he's that good. If you look at his stat, he's
That's what
that
I'm saying, yeah, and it's not talked about a lot.
No.
Well, Clemmer, I was gonna say I thought it might have been you or someone else on the baseball show. That golf isn't that's fucking wild.
Insane, right?
I was gonna say I think it might have been you that said it. That basically he's almost surpassing Trout. We're almost kind of watching him live.
Yes.
Where everyone was like from when he came up, he's unbelievable. Year 1 to basically now, and that was has his chronic back problems.
Without
I thought
question.
I would say every baseball fan thought he was gonna be like that
I did
next
too.
guy.
I mean,
And now we're kind of slowly realizing, hey, like Mookie has stats have been pretty much as good, and he's healthier.
I mean, I will say Mike Trout's peak was incredible. We've never seen anything like it. I mean,
for sure.
the WAR, the incredible MVPs he won. But when it's all said and done, Mookie Betts is going to have significantly more home runs, hits than Trout, only because Trout's back is all fucked up.
And the thing that's going to help him is that not that this shouldn't matter a ton, I think, for baseball because it's so you can only do so much as one guy. We see that with Ohtani, but he's going to have won championships.
He already has 2 rings.
I think he's already won 2. He's in a spot where I would be shocked if he never won one again on the Dodgers or whoever. Wherever else his career ends up. I'm sure he's going to stay there for a while.
Yeah,
Obviously.
I know he signed to the Dodgers for a long time. Who's to say he doesn't win 2-3 more?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, he already has 2 more than Trout.
He really does have a chance to go down as one of the best people
He will go down
of all time.
Kind of sad what you see with Trout though.
Very sad.
Where it's
That's
like,
horrible.
He should be he should be the LeBron of fucking baseball, and it's
Yes.
just we just see a shitty organization. Also, his injuries and it's a shame because would hit I think 315 almost every single year.
You had 3 outfielders come up at the same time, right? Mookie Betts, Bryce Harper, and Mike Trout. And for a long time, we all thought Trout was going to be the be-all, end-all. And at the end of the day, Harper and Betts are going to have more home runs and more career hits than Trout.
I want to do one last topic, and then go get Rico. We have this guy is waiting. It's insane where Rico's not here.
Yeah, it's great. Nah,
It's actually
Is this part of my take thing going on all day?
no. It's till 12, so at the end of our show. So
Yeah, he's not sitting
Dudes,
on
if you
hold
can-
for 40 minutes for another show.
you go get Rico.
I'm gonna be
'cause
like,
if he's not,
yeah,
the
go
guess
get
is
him.
we got the. I feel bad that fucking moron. The last thing I want to talk about before we have our guest in is the Cardinals are blatantly looking at us and showing everybody and looking at Goodell being like, we are tanking.
Yes.
You just cut Colt McCoy, who has been in your system, the most fine quarterback. The most fine quarterback
It's like
of all
the
time.
perfect backup quarterback.
Yes. And now you're starting. You're either going to start.
They're going to start Josh Dobbs.
They're gonna start Dobbs.
You're not naming
Dobbs is gonna
it,
start.
which isn't. You're not naming it, Gannon, because you fucking don't have a quarterback. That's why you're not naming it, because your quarterback that you're going to start just got there 2 days ago. And who's the other guy? What's his name?
Clayton Tune.
Who the fuck is Clayton Tune?
He's a rookie. He was Houston's quarterback.
What was his
That guy ain't going to be the quarterback.
Fifth round.
fifth rounder, and this guy they got last week?
Let's give him.
Clayton Tune was a solid player in college, but I would be very upset if he was starting for my NFL team.
Doing?
That's my favorite hobby.
Yeah, but we have a guest, and it's
I'm not missing a guest,
Yeah,
but
we're
waiting on him.
waiting for you.
oh, I thought we were doing 11:30. All right, yeah, I
shut up
trolled,
early
I
so
trolled
we
Cal
didn't have-
Perry. I got to do the troll of Cal Perry.
That's fine, but you do
Every
have a
year.
show. Wait,
blame that call
move
system.
over there.
They took. Oh yeah, this one, right?
Yeah, yo, I'm sorry.
Marty, I gotta warn you, Rico. Marty's on edge today.
Well, I mean, guy misses his own show. Who misses?
I'm just saying, but you're on. You admitted you're on edge today. I was giving him a
I'm
heads
not
up.
on edge. I'm aware.
Okay, all right.
I'm aware.
Marty's awake.
I am. But yes, the Cardinals are just completely giving up right in front of our eyes, and like I don't know how they're trading. I know their guy who the Giants got. They trade for a 7th-round pick.
Traded Simmons, who it's obviously I like as a Giants fan, I love that it was worth the little roll of the dice for a 7th rounder next year, but he was not. He is a free agent.
No, I know. I'm just.
They didn't pick
saying-
up his 5th-year
If
option.
you're the Cardinals, shouldn't you tank?
Yeah,
what
but
good
I-
does it mean if you go
Yes.
6-11? Who gives a fuck?
But I'm not saying. I'm more mad at, like Goodell, like where it's like they're blatantly doing it.
Like it's integrity of the league stuff.
It's
That's
like
what-
I think
I think that's getting like slightly overblown.
I don't think so.
Because like they didn't listen. They didn't like. They obviously they're not like a talent laden roster to begin with, and they traded away like one of their. They traded away a lineman, a guy Simmons who had been like a guy. They didn't pick up his 5th-year option. He hasn't lived up to the hype that he had. He was a top pick. They were talking about him being like one of the best players in the league, and he just hasn't been. He showed like flashes of playmaking ability, but he's been underwhelming overall. So it's not like they're sitting there trading away like all their best players.
The thing is, they don't have any good players, so that's what I'm
that's
saying.
fair.
Even the half good players, they're trading away, cutting. Like they're blatantly saying, "We fucked up with Kyler Murray. We paid him far too much money. We're going after Caleb Williams right now."
The moves that they made are probably worth only one win. Because I saw something on the Barstool Gambling account, shout out, whoever found this on our team, but they have the lowest win total since the Jaguars in their inception. So the Jaguars had a win total of 3 in their first year. Cardinals have 3.5. I would like to say that I remember them being at 4.5 when they made no moves. So it's not like they were just talentless to begin with.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Though.
But
They're
like-
talentless, and then they're dropping a guy who, like, Colt McCoy is a better quarterback right now than Josh Dobbs.
I don't know if that's
Also,
Dude, more familiar with the
I don't-
system.
But
though.
maybe the more
He's-
familiar, like Josh Dobbs might be better. But we're fucking comparing two bad.
I
The
quarterbacks.
other
will-
potential starter, the kid
It's
Tune from
Clayton
Houston,
Tune.
right?
It's going to be Dobbs. Because I will say this about Dobbs, which this isn't like some ringing endorsement, but last year he came in and started that game for the Titans after basically they picked him up off the street over like Malik Willis, who I think is awful, who had been in the system for at least a year, and he wasn't terrible. He was like decent, all things considered. I'm not sitting here saying the guy's going to go be a Pro Bowl or
He's gonna do
something.
nothing. He's gonna win
But I'm saying there actually is a chance realistically at Colt McCoy's age that he probably is a little better than Colt McCoy.
I'll say this. So
It's just more of the system.
I'm a Jets fan. Obviously, the year that Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, I was rooting for them to lose every game. Like I was furious when they won. It does me no good to go 5-12.
Yeah, no, I
Does me
know.
no good.
I know. That's why I think they cut Colt McCoy because he'll win a couple games.
Is
Right.
Zach
I
Ertz
just
their
wonder
best
what they're going to
receiver?
do with
What do you say,
Is
Booth?
Zach Ertz their best receiver?
No, they actually have no. See, that's the one thing.
They
They
have,
have Rondell Moore and Marquise Brown and
yeah,
Hollywood
they have
Brown, who
Hollywood
actually
Brown.
are like pretty good. Like Rondell Moore is incredible. If you remember from Purdue,
Mm-hmm.
I still have nightmares about him from that game against Ohio State. He is a very talented player. And Hollywood Brown, when he's been healthy, he's been like a very solid player as well. So the receiving core actually isn't
They have a
hard.
decent
isn't horrible.
running- decent enough
James
running back.
Conner's a solid back.
Fine.
He's a solid back. Like I'm not. Listen, he's not. He's a solid NFL running back. Nothing like right home about, but also not.
He's not awful.
He's had some very good years in the NFL. He's been very productive, so nothing really bad to say about him there. The offensive line definitely should not be very good. They drafted my guy Paris Johnson, 3rd overall, very good left tackle from Ohio State, but so he's going to be kind of their stalwart, hopefully for the next however long. But They definitely don't have much talent on the offensive line. That's going to be a problem. Defense is going to be great, obviously. But I think it's getting a little almost like a reverse super team where everyone thinks the team's going to be so bad. I almost feel like they're going to be bad. Don't get me wrong, but I almost feel like I almost like want to take their over wins. Like three. It's still the
they're bad.
it's an NFL football team.
Yeah, but I think you
they're
get
professionals.
There's professionals on the other side of the ball that are way better.
barring disaster,
but
you
really
get
not
two
way
in the
better.
NFL just
Yes,
by
they are
happenstance.
way better. That team stinks.
But I'm saying there's been plenty of teams that have stunk. Like I said, they do have some offensive talent. I just think they're bad. Listen, they're going to be bad. But I just think all things
Who's
considered.
their running back? Is it James Conner?
James Conner.
I think they're plus 225, or at least they were yesterday.
It's
They have
cra-
the worst record in the NFL.
That's a crazy number. Like against the field, that's wild.
Yeah.
That's why I wrote a blog yesterday. I love the Colts 14-1. I just think that's a good line. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, but
I want the Bucks
Texans
just so I can
9-1.
root against Jay.
The Bucks aren't going to be the worst team.
I want
They're
it.
going to win the division.
Cardinals are going to steal a couple games.
Before
They're going to
we,
win a couple they shouldn't.
well, I just want, Dukes, is this do you like fantasy football anymore? Is that just a youth question?
Okay, because I have a take that I like to gamble. I hate my bets contradicting. I join fantasy leagues. I play fantasy. But at this point, it's basically just a donation to my friends to be like, yeah, I'll be your friend every year for $50. We'll get on one Zoom call a year. Keep in touch.
Well, you
And I
probably
feel
did
like
that
it's
at Dayton too, didn't you?
What?
You probably did that at Dayton too, as in like a frat or something, right?
Well, I'm saying it's like fantasy football to me is like paying for friendship. Like, yeah, I'll pay $50 to be your friend this year, and we'll keep in contact.
That's
during the fall.
so when you go to dinner, is that paying for friendship? When you go out to dinner with your friends, you're eating out. I mean, everything costs money.
You're just
No,
saying.
no. Fantasy football is way different. Like we talk every week. There's a group chat that's
That
very
sounds
active.
great.
I'll be honest.
No,
I
I'm
I
not
do the
saying
same thing, and I
I'm
love
not. I'm not saying it's bad. I don't like the
No, you
act
are.
of playing fantasy football. I like the act of keeping in touch with my friends, talking football.
No,
I'm
it's
not the biggest
more-
fantasy guy. Betting on it, contradicting bets, I hate it.
yeah, but you just got to separate the both. Yeah, like you just got to be like, this is my friends, and it's all the reason I'm in a fantasy league is just to talk shit to them. That's literally it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And gambling is way better than fantasy football. Yeah, it's just more when you don't gamble, fantasy football is gambling. That's what it is.
For me, it's like how me and all my boys keep in touch.
Me
Basically.
too. I've
We just
seen
have
them,
my draft actually tonight. We have
Yeah.
we just have a big group chat with 12 guys, and it's all like we all grew up in high. We're all like best friends from high school. And
Yeah.
we just we've been roasting my one friend like all day long because he was being a dick. He was taking too long to pay.
Yeah.
we were just roasting him
And that's,
about
and
it.
that's like I'm in my 40s. Like a lot of my friends have kids, have moved away. Like this is a great way to keep in touch, and it's a great way to bust balls and have fun with the guys.
one time
it's,
a year
it's
that
awesome.
you definitely know you get to see your friends.
Yes, it's a
you
great
wanted to
thing.
see-
I do agree. The one thing I will agree to is just as a gambler, obviously, usually
Oh, it's a pain in the ass.
I think my league's like ours is like $500 now. We all like but I mean most times like you have way more. I'm gonna have way more action than that on a Sunday, like in play.
You just have to think.
So I agree with Dukes. Where like I'm like my one bet I'm gonna care more about than
Right.
like winning that week in fantasy.
yeah, because you
But I still want to win fantasy almost less for the money just to talk shit to my friends.
Dragon race.
fantasy
No, it is nice
football
little pot, but-
is a future.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is.
I'm thinking about it.
I think I liked it better when I went away from like when I was younger. I would play like a bunch of leagues, and now I've got to the point where I just basically play one, and that's the only one I care about.
That's what I'm.
So I'm just all in on it.
All right, so let's.
I'd bring him in.
Let's bring him in.
Should I go get him?
That's what I was gonna do. We want to be on hold more, or you want to get him in? Which one?
Should I go get?
You blame the call system.
What? Pronounce the last name again.
Dude, I'm so bad at pronunciation, but let's go Joe Maimone or Joe Maimone.
Oh my God.
Oh, we don't know. Just Joe.
No. I'm gonna go
when you say-
Maimone.
when you-
He's the matchmaker.
yeah, just ask him.
Just go.
So we're talking about the HBO documentary BS High, which we all saw. It's fantastic. I'm hoping.
Yeah. So the matchmaker.
I don't know if
is
it's
coming
fantastic.
in.
I wanted to take a shower after I fucking watched it, but
Fantastically
it's
made.
a fantastic story.
Very.
Great, and I think there's a lot of information that we, as he comes in right now, you could sit right here.
What? I didn't take his notes. No.
Nope. They are.
How you doing, sir? Good. Nice to meet you, Marty.
Hey, thanks for coming in.
What's going on?
Thanks for coming in. Evan. Thanks so much for time.
How you doing? What's going on?
All right. So as we just told you, if you watched the new documentary BS High, we have the matchmaker, and I want to get your last name right because
Last name is Maimone. May like the month moon.
yep, Joe Maimone. So we have, if you haven't watched it, it's a very interesting documentary because it's like everyone made jokes about it, whatever year ago it was, or 2 years ago.
2021.
2 years ago, this past Sunday.
Yeah, and everyone, I mean, let me tell you, I made jokes of it. As I was like, oh, look at these 40-year-olds playing, and they sucked. And it turns out they weren't 40. They were no one was over 18 in the age, right?
They were all age appropriate.
Yeah, all age appropriate.
So that means under 20?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and the producer, when they flew me out to L.A. for my segment, the producer acknowledged that because I gave him a whole list of truths that were not getting out to the general public, and he acknowledged that you were right, Joe. Everybody we interviewed on the 2021 roster was age appropriate.
Okay, so we'll get into. I want to get into everything. So first of all,
Can I say a couple of things first?
Of course.
Number one, I apologize. I was a few minutes late today. I don't know what happened. I woke up this morning, and there was something shoved up my ass. I have no idea how it got there. I have no idea. Rico, do you know?
I wrote that. Would you read that blog?
I did, yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, and it happened to me this morning. So I went to my doctor, and I was about 10 minutes late today. So that's it.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's number
What'd
one.
you write?
It's a blog in the New York Post. They're doing a study that more things are getting shoved up people's asses.
Crazy. I woke up this morning, and I was like, what the hell?
Wild.
Number two, I got a present for Rico because his last name is the same last name as two of my clients. St. John Bosco High School out in California, who played this weekend.
Don Bosco.
And Don Bosco in Jersey. So pass this down to
Thank
Rico.
you, awesome.
I got him a present. Show everybody.
The Iron Men?
I know those colors.
Yep.
Show 'em, Bosco.
Don Bosco Prep, Iron Man.
Look at
There
that.
you go.
Shout out I know a bunch of people that went there.
Right. So that's it. Now we can get started. I want to get those two things off my chest.
Greg Toll's YouTube speech is still top 5 to me. Yeah. Your patron saint was a tough guy. He was a tough guy.
Exactly.
Unbelievable.
So basically, how has your life changed a little bit of like more people seeing you on this documentary? Like, oh shit, that's that guy.
Not really. You know, the day after the actual game 2 years ago, I was the only one on earth sticking up for the boys because I knew the truth. I mean, I had been out there. I visited the facility that they were renting. I met their landlord. You know, I qualified them. You know, I have 400 clients that I do scheduling for in the world of high school football. So I did my due diligence. They were registered with the state of Ohio. I had the certificate on file if anybody wants to see it. They were approved and registered. They had facilities. You know, I have this whole points of on my website, nationalhsfb.com. Again, nationalhsfb.com. I have what I listed is the top 10 facts that the producers of the Bishop Sycamore don't want you to know.
Okay.
Because it wouldn't make the story as provocative and people wouldn't watch it.
Right.
So that's my problem with it. You're embellishing and ruining the lives of people for ratings and to make money off of them.
You said you met with the landlord. We saw students get evicted from the hotels and things like that.
No, I'm talking about they had a their landlord where they worked out every day. They had a weight room and indoor fields at a place called the Resolute Athletic Complex on the east side of Columbus. I met their landlord, Maureen O'Brien. They showed me around, gave me a tour, had nothing but glowing things to say about Roy and the team. And then, you know, a day after the game ended, they're the Devils and they're all the Antichrist and people want to fucking hang them. So it wasn't fair, and I was the only one on earth sticking up for them because I knew the whole story. I had been there. I drove from Jersey to freaking Columbus, Ohio on July 16th, literally 6 weeks before the IMG game. So
you do the documentary, you do your segment, and you don't know how everyone else is being portrayed, how everything's
no, not at all. They flew me out there. They flew me out there, and I was literally interviewed for 90 minutes. And you see, I got like 3 minutes
that's how
and
it
thing.
usually goes.
And none of the things I'm saying now, the truths I was putting out there, made it. What does that tell you?
Yeah, it's definitely a narrative.
What do you think is the biggest truth they left out?
There's so many. Half the people don't know. Again, it was a registered school. You put it up there. 90% of the people don't know that the same two schools, IMG and Bishop Sycamore, played freaking 10 months earlier in Bradenton, Florida. The score was 56-6. I mean, they think they were just a pop-up school. The school started in 2018. Their record was 7-23 entering the IMG game. in the 3 years leading up to that game, they played some of the biggest names in the world of high school football. They played St. Ignatius, they played Archbishop Hoban, they played St. Ed's, they played Massillon, Ohio. Those 4 Ohio schools combined have 46 state championships. How could they be a scam if those schools were scheduling them? You know, look at the list that you just put up. Most of the teams on that list were top 300 teams in America. And remember, there are 16,000 teams that play the game of high school football. There are top 300 teams answering the phone to play these guys. Most of them wanted them for homecoming games because it was a guaranteed win. But still, if you're fake or a scam, the biggest and best names in the world of high school football are not scheduling you.
So one of the biggest quotes that I probably had from you in the actual doc was him saying that he reached out to you, said, "I want the toughest schedule in high school."
He did.
Was that year that was 2021? Was that the first time you had?
I met them. I met them in February of 2021. I was introduced to them by a local promoter down in Florida. I called Roy. I loved his mission. His mission is, believe it or not, you know, he wanted to do right. He wanted to give these. Remember, this is like Last Chance U, but high school. These kids had nowhere else to go to play the game they love. So he in his heart, he was doing the right thing. He went about it the wrong way, that's for sure. But in his heart, he was trying to do the right thing for them. So yeah, so I met him in February. I drove out. I went to college in Ohio. Me and Dukes, I don't know if you guys know, we went to the same college.
Yep.
Go Flyers. And so I went out. My daughter was with me. You know, every year I go out and visit all my college buddies in Ohio. It's like a mini vacation. So I went out, took my daughter with me. I dropped her off at Miami, Ohio, where she had a friend. I went to Dayton. But on the way there, I left Thursday, stopped Thursday night, got a hotel in Columbus. The next morning, I got up and met Roy and Terry, the assistant coach at the Resolute Athletic Complex, got a tour of it. He showed me his whole plan of action and what the goal was going to be. Remember, this is 6 weeks before the IMG game. I was cool with it. He gave me the certificate. I met Maureen. She showed me around the place. Everything was cool. I said, we're good. And then ESPN calls me. You know, they called me out of the blue. They said, Joe, we're having a really hard time finding IMG an opponent on August 29th. Could you help us out? Again, I don't do this for the money. This is a labor of love for me. It's a hobby, basically. So ESPN calls, or their third-party division for high school sports, which is called Paragon Marketing. Paragon calls me and says, Joe, we really need your help. We have IMG scheduled on our calendar. We have no freaking team to play them. What can you help us out? So, of course, with our modern technology, I go back to my office. With the press of one button, I put the opportunity out there to all 400 plus of my clients. Hey, got a great opportunity in Canton, Ohio at the Hall of Fame Stadium, playing IMG. Who's interested? Get back to me. Who do you think was the first team to get back to me? Yeah. They were, but why? Number one, nobody wants to play IMG because they're the best team in America. Number two, people don't realize this game was on a Sunday afternoon. Nobody plays high school football on a Sunday afternoon, very rarely. So it was going to be hard to begin with. So they get back to me. I even waited a few days. I was like, fuck. I mean, wait and look in my inbox. I hope somebody else gets back to me. Nobody did. So I called up Paragon ESPN. I said, guys, the only team that's willing to do this is Bishop Sycamore. They're a school out of Ohio. The two teams did play 10 months prior. It was a blowout, so it's probably not going to be close. It's up to you. And they're the ones who chose them. I didn't choose them. I brought the opportunity to ESPN Paragon. They chose Bishop Sycamore and chose to televise that game. They knew damn well this IMG beat the same team by 50 points 10 months prior.
So did you, obviously, like everything, you were probably the most aware of what the game was going to look like, but did you watch the game live?
I was furious. I've watched that game 10 times, 5 with the volume off, 5 with the volume on. If you watch that game with the volume off, it's a regular blowout football game. You watch it with the volume on, the ESPN announcers caused this whole fucking thing. Anish Shroff, Tom Luganbill, they were ill-prepared to call the game. They knew nothing about the players. They didn't have a roster. Bishop Sycamore a week prior had played on national TV. It was a stream game on Flow Football. All the announcers there had rosters. They had everything they needed to call the game properly. Those two guys, if you listen, I have the transcript of the call of the game. They're the ones that put mystery into the game. They didn't know anything about him. They were saying this guy's not on our roster. These kids are saying they have D1 offers. And it's funny. There's a guy out there called Jared Luganbill. He's got to be related to Tom Luginbills. How many Luginbills on earth are there? All during the summer, he was putting out tweets about the Bishop Sycamore kids getting offers. Syracuse, Auburn, Clemson. And then Tom Luginbill, his relative, I'm pretty sure, is saying on national TV, we have no idea if these offers are true. When Jared Luginbill was putting out 20, 30 tweets promoting it, and now if you go to his site, he fucking deleted them all.
See, I thought you'd be.
Everybody's afraid. Everybody's afraid to tell the truth.
I thought you'd be upset that they played 2 days earlier. That doesn't that make you're
Well,
trying.
I didn't book the Friday game.
Right, but were you mad at Roy Johnson for scheduling a game?
Of course.
That seems insane to me.
I
It
say in the
seems dangerous to
documentary.
kids.
I say in the documentary. If they would have asked my advice, I wouldn't have said to do that. Obviously,
Yeah,
I found out literally maybe a week before it was going to happen, and there's nothing I could do about it.
Well, yeah, and even his attitude with that, like the smirk and the loophole type attitude, you just want to kind of punch him in the face.
Yeah.
It was
But
really
again-
hard to
but
watch
again-
that when
but
he's
again,
like,
again, that bad decision. However, in his heart of hearts, he was doing everything he could to get his boys visibility and exposure. He thought it was positive visibility and exposure. It didn't work out that way. But in his heart of hearts, he was doing what he wanted to do. These boys are basically his kids. The majority
Well, I mean,
of
he
these
did
kids-
take out PPP loans in their name, which is
No, he didn't. That's fucking bullshit.
that's a lie.
Really?
Fucking bullshit.
Really?
PPP loans, all the paperwork that I've seen,
Okay.
were signed by the players months before they enrolled at Bishop Sycamore. The
So is
boys,
this a
the
coincidence
boys,
that they all took out
it is my opinion that the boys did that on their own. Two of the boys in the documentary came from USA Academy, which was a true scam school. Never got off the ground. The owner, got caught stealing $100,000 in PPP loans for the school. The player, in my opinion, this is what happened. The player saw what Dusty was doing at USA Academy, and they said, I'm going to do it here. But if you look at the paperwork, the two things about it. Across the board, the dates on the paperwork were months before they enrolled at Bishop Sycamore or knew who Roy was. And number two, every application said they owned one of two types of businesses, a barber shop or a T-shirt company. Now, dude, Roy's a smart dude. He's smart. You don't last 3.5 years by being a dumbass. If he was instructing them how to get PPP loans, he would have said, you're a barbershop, you're a landscaper, you're a baker. The kids on their own, in my opinion, did this shit because who would put, if you get a stack of them right now, a stack of the PPP loans, they're either barbershops or T-shirt companies. That's ridiculous. And you got to remember, during the whole process of PPP loans, do you guys know how many fraudulent loans have been discovered so far, money-wise?
probably a lot.
$200 billion.
Yeah.
So
There were guys getting nailed for that. I remember reading the papers.
and I could tell you at least one of the Sycamore players who applied for PPP loan, his relatives did too. Their relatives did too. So that I'm convinced. Again, my opinion. Everything here is my opinion. I'm convinced that the producers incentivized those guys to lie.
So you think the kids were lying about not being fed or being evicted from the hotels and things like that?
If you go on my website, nationalhsfb.com, it's all documented. There are people, I'm getting like 30 texts a day from former players that have Roy's back that are sending me videos and sending me tweets about how well they treated, how they would take a bullet for him, and how their lives would not be as good as they are right now if it weren't for Dre and Roy.
That's totally fine that they have his back, but don't you think he didn't help himself with the attitude of like?
Of course, he shouldn't have been pompous
He was
like
so
that.
yeah.
He was I
believe if you have the stuff to stand on, but the way he went about it really makes it hard for anybody to back him.
Yeah, you're right. He should have remained just professional, humble, told his story, but smiling on air and stuff. I mean, I get it. If I didn't know the guy, I'd want to fucking kill him too. But I know him. I know the family. I know the ex-girlfriend. I know everybody involved. I wrote this down. I wanted to keep a mental note of it. It's really simple. Roy set himself up for bad consequences. However, his intentions were always honorable and admirable. They will, I'm telling you. He'll come on the show anytime you want. He knows I'm on now. He'll come on tomorrow if you want him to.
I'd love to have him on tomorrow.
He'll come on tomorrow. Whether you want
have
to
him
do
on
it,
tomorrow.
he'll drive in from Columbus, or if you could take care of him getting here, or do it over the internet.
We can do it over Zoom.
He'll come on tomorrow and tell you the truth, because nobody is fucking giving him the opportunity to tell his side of the story. Now, we did get approached by a documentary maker who wants to be fair and balanced and give him his side, which is great. Hopefully that'll come out sooner than later. And also, you have no idea, this brand is not going away soon. I have teams calling me up wanting to say, hey, when they come back, I want to play them for the notoriety sake of it. We had a trading card company call. They want to make trading cards of the 2021 Bishop Sycamore team. The sponsorship opportunities are going through the roof. It's like everybody that was against them, that wanted to screw them, it's all fucking backfiring, and I love it.
So Bishop Sycamore still exists, correct? And it's still going to be a school next year?
They can continue to operate per the state of Ohio. Amy Dash, a great writer who always had their back going forward from day one, she's the one who put it out there. It says right here, since Bishop Sycamore can continue to operate under Ohio law, the Centurions are currently seeking quality teams to play in 2020.
So are they going to have a brick and mortar place for these kids to actually take classes?
We'll see. Listen, all you need.
That'd be important.
Listen, there are teams all over America who do what they tried to do. Are you guys fans of high school basketball?
Yeah, big time.
If you look at the
Prep
fucking top 20 teams in that league, look at
Findlay Prep has 12 kids
guys,
in school, 9 of them play basketball.
Guys, look at. I'm not even going to name the schools, okay? I don't want to get in trouble, but go to NIBC Hoops. There's a conference that put all these untraditional schools together. Untraditional, I mean, they don't go to school from 9 to 3. They're untraditional. They take classes online. It can be done. It's been done for decades. So if you go to nibchoops.com, there's a conference they've all assembled there. Click on the roster, see where the kids are from. There are kids from China and Taiwan on these teams, let alone, say Link Academies in Missouri. I don't think there's a kid from Missouri on the team. Compass Prep out of Arizona. There may be one kid from Arizona on that team. There's a school called Legacy Early College. There's a school called Sunrise Christian Academy. Go click on those rosters and see where they're from. Sycamore was not the first team to ever do this.
No, definitely not.
Actually, in the world of high school football, the first team that ever did it was Eastern Christian Academy. You know David Sills?
Yes.
The NFL player. His dad started a Bishop Sycamore type program. The difference was he had loads of cash. Roy didn't.
You think it's good for these kids not to go to school?
They had no choice. This was the last resort.
They could have gone to a school.
No. Well, they either, I'm telling you, these kids either got thrown out of their high school. They were 1 or 2 credits short to go into college, and they couldn't afford JUCO. There was a reason they were there. None of these boys were babes in the woods. Okay, they weren't.
They were kids.
Were there any teachers?
They were kids. I mean, that's not right. These are young people. These are exploiting young people.
The large majority of them knew what they were getting into. Okay, remember, a few of the players came from USA Academy, which was a true scam that never got off the ground. Google USA Academy, Dusty Devon, and read about it. Remember, kids came from there. So if you went from here to there, come on, this is your last chance high. You have no other choices in life to play the game you love, and Roy was providing that opportunity.
Well, I think some of the confusion too with the age stuff was at one point he mentions it was like a high school like prep school hybrid, and there's kind of the other guy who's like that's not like a real thing. I guess that was where the discrepancy in terms of like them these kids playing varsity.
Well, they had
so, like some of them were old. Like I know they said
I can tell you what he told me.
The one kid was like a JUCO kid, but some of them were like older, some of them were younger. And I guess that was where the discrepancy. If you play like 4 years, I don't think you can really play again after that.
On their schedule, they had several schools that had reclassed kids. In the world of almost every sport, hockey started, I think, with the pink shirting. There are so many kids who were bumped down a grade or 2 on the way while they're growing up. So it is what it is. I mean, if you blame him for that, you got to blame the sport of hockey, who's been doing it. If you read about it in the book Tipping Point, that's how they start the book off.
So where usually that was a thing. Like usually, my understanding was usually that's a thing like done when they're younger. Like I've heard, like I'm from like 30 minutes from Bosco, and I know kids that basically just did 8th grade over again.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
They'd be better, they'd be bigger.
All the time.
That doesn't explain a prep school, high school hybrid.
What I was saying is a lot of the teams
that stuff is not like kind of like quirky. Like,
but a lot of the teams on their 2021 schedule, which again was ranked the 4th toughest by Max Preps, Max Preps comes out every year with the top 10 toughest schedule in high school football. Sycamores in 2021 was rated number 4. A lot of those schools had players like that, reclass players. So who cares? I mean, that's my opinion.
Joe,
who cares?
I have one question that you said you probably wouldn't have scheduled the Friday game.
I never would have. Ever. Never, ever.
One of the most fascinating parts to me about the documentary was like the fact that they had a mom as a trainer. How would that have even
She wasn't a trainer.
Yeah,
she wasn't. She was a mom who ran out on the they didn't have an official trainer.
That's a problem to me. That sounds crazy.
Yeah, but it's they didn't play by the same rules as every high school in America.
Really?
They were living day to day. They were living day to day, and people were making fun of them, sharing helmets. That still happens in high schools all over fucking America. Teams from the inner city, underserved communities don't have enough helmets. Before the Archbishop Hoban game, the first game they played that season, I put on a helmet drive for them to try to get them enough helmets. So they were living day to day. The players knew it. I knew.
I mean, would you want your kid to go to play football and not have a trainer on the sidelines? That sounds awful.
Hell no,
that's exploitive. That's what I'm pointing to.
Hell no. I wouldn't want that for my own kids. But these kids were given other opportunities in their lives. They ran out of them, and this was the last-ditch effort to play the game they love and maybe get a little bit of exposure and be able to play D3 or NAIA.
Don't you think that Roy, like, in a way you say that he did that for, like, in his heart, he wanted to help the kids, but also he wanted to help himself, knowing that these kids' last chance was. You don't think he wanted to help himself?
How could he help himself? How could he benefit?
For this reason.
I guess the thing I would think.
Money playing IMG, like, getting on ESPN, like, he said he wanted to be
maybe he, for notoriety, but he didn't make a penny off of this whole situation. You think he made money?
What situation?
He wanted to. I think he just fucked up.
I don't think there was an opportunity to ever make any money. I mean, there's a couple of wannabe journalists in Ohio writing about this story, and they still think to this day that he has millions of dollars stocked away somewhere in some Swiss account from all the travel stipends that he got to travel to these places over the years. I do this every day, all right? These travel stipends are used to get your team to that location and home. There's no extra money. There's no profit being made. There's no money in high school football. That's bullshit.
Well, I think what would point to is even that they touch on the documentary how he had said I wanted to kind of create a new IMG. They know
that was his goal. You saw the plans.
I guess they noted how IMG makes all this money. It was recently sold for over $1 billion.
Again, IMG football. That's another.
Trying to make money off it.
Stretch the truth again. And I called the head of IMG. I go, dude, watch that documentary. They threw you under the bus. Make sure your lawyers watch that documentary. They said shit about IMG that was unfucking believable.
Like what?
That they don't care about their student athletes and it's all about sports. That's fucking bullshit. IMG puts kids into the Ivy Leagues every season in every sport. That's bullshit.
So IMG really cares about education then?
Yes, they do.
It doesn't seem like Bishop Sycamore does though.
They tried. They had.
I don't.
Listen, online schools. We talked about it. Again, go to all those schools on the high school basketball side. They're all taking online classes during the day and playing the sport they love and competing at a high level. That was his goal. He wanted to do what Eastern Christian and David Sills' dad did. He wanted to try to do what IMG was doing, but in the state of Ohio, it didn't work out. There was not enough money to run a program. But the fact that he freaking made it last 3 seasons in 3 days shows that he's a smart guy, man. Smart people in every walk of life. Smart people will always find a way to get things done. And he got it done. And we thought by him being on IMG, it might help his cause. Obviously, it didn't. It fucking backfired in a major way. But if they didn't play that game on ESPN, if they didn't play that game on ESPN, they'd still be operating today. And they'd still be playing 8 to 10 games a season, and nobody in the world would give a shit like nobody gave a shit from 2018 to 2020.
But what about that quarterback who got fucked with, like he couldn't go play at Grambling? Like when he was like, I want to play football, and then he got screwed over.
Yeah, he got the offer, and then because everybody, the cancel culture was so crazy during this time. Anybody associated, I had people emailing me, I had death threats. I didn't sleep for 3 nights. I had kids wishing. My son played lacrosse in college. I had kids emailing me, I hope your son breaks his leg.
Yeah.
I had people emailing my place of work saying, I should be fired and I'm a con man and I should be reported to the New Jersey Attorney General. These fucking people are unbelievable. The cancel culture was crazy. Everybody was afraid. Like after the IMG game, all the rest of the opponents on their schedule canceled on them.
Yep.
It was because they were afraid to move forward. Nothing was proven. To this day, nothing's been proven. And that's why I'm telling you, I talk to Dukes about this all the time. We're lacrosse guys. This, to me, is the Duke men's lacrosse case, but with a black football team, high school football team.
I have a question for you.
The truth is going to come out. The truth is going to come out.
You said your son plays lacrosse. If he played football, would you want your son to go to Bishop Sycamore?
Of course not, but he wouldn't have to.
No, I'm saying, but like, let's say that was the situation.
The kids who went to Bishop Sycamore, these players who came to Sycamore came there with just the shirts on their back. They had nothing else in their life to rely on. They just wanted to play the game they love against great competition on national TV, on either Flow or ESPN. Who wouldn't do that as a last resort?
Isn't it our job as adults to make sure those kids are safe and in the right situations? Playing football at a trainer, playing football 2 days after playing a game, that's lacking to me as an adult. That's exploiting children. Personally, I think people who exploit kids, special place in hell for them.
Yeah.
I
respect that opinion, but
I think that a lot.
He comes on the show. I'm sure you'll
tell him the same thing.
And
and
he answers you. I'm sure you'll appreciate it more and know what was done and why it was done.
And listen, I think that sometimes documentaries do have a different angle. Like, this was a better angle for people to be like, holy shit, this is like insane. I don't think this guy's a saint. I think that he might have had some good intentions, but he did fuck over these kids. That's just a fact in some points. Maybe he helped some, but there's also some points that he did fuck them over, where I think that even though you're smart and want to help kids, you still were a bad person at one point. You know what I mean? Like, I think that there's no way of saying, like, I'm sure there's some truth left out. You did say a lot of truth that they didn't say.
Yeah, the IMG playing them twice. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Also,
months prior,
teachers. Yeah. There was teachers, right, at the school. They actually did go to class sometimes.
It was mostly online learning. I sent a video.
Yeah.
I sent a video if you guys want to put it up.
And before we get to the video really quick, I just want to ask you, how many people from the documentary were actually on the team
So
that day?
Out of all the players interviewed, 2 were on the 21 roster and played in that IMG game. Pahokee, AB, also known as Pahokee, and JD, the rapper at the end.
But the quarterback. Quarterback.
Trillion?
He got hurt during.
You're right. You know what? JD left Sycamore only after being there 2 weeks. So Trill and Pahokee were the only 2 players interviewed that were part of the 2021 roster and played in the IMG game. 2. All those other dudes were 2018, 2019, 2020. And in this world of helicopter parenting, every team in America, every sport, has parents that feel scorned or pissed off at the coach. That's what these boys were. I'm telling you right now, if you go on my site, nationalhsfb.com, you'll see all the players coming out of the woodwork. There are way more. Roy has way more proponents, former players, who are proponents than opponents, by far.
So just going back to just the game specifically, obviously I would say the one thing I'd say there's no excuse for not having a trainer. Like, you need somebody there for serious injuries in football. Yep. But do you think the visual of the game got so bad, probably the quarterback gets hurt, they just don't have really another one, and they had this kid that will come defensive back, and I think visually it looked horrible because he just looked like he had no idea what he was doing.
I get it, but if you watch the game without the volume on, and then you watch it with the volume on, the announcers at ESPN made it much worse. They caused all this to happen. They caused it. I'm telling you. I had the transcript.
Was that kid who came in a quarterback, or was he not a quarterback? Because he looked like he was not.
He wasn't a quarterback. That's
not the announcer's fault.
What was his day-to-day practice? Because that gets brushed. Like, that kind of fits on your point,
the thing I thought the kind of touching was that he kind of was like not really good. He had no X's and O's. Like, they kind of said, like, he didn't make him run. He didn't really know how to, like, run a team. Really,
they said they got their players off of video games. Yeah.
Well, then what was the date? Do you have proof of the day-to-day, or do you have any light on the day-to-day practices?
I'm not.
I
didn't live there. I only booked their schedule, so I don't know. I don't. I do know they again. I visited the facility, which provided a weight room and 2 indoor turf football fields. I do know they practice there. How many times a day, how many hours a day? I have no clue. That's not my responsibility. I just know that, I did my due diligence. All the great brand name, highly ranked schools that played them over the years, me seeing the certificate of that they're registered and approved by the Ohio Department of Education, that was enough for me, a promoter, to take them on as a client.
Yeah, I just think there's so many things he could have done. Like every coach I know has a notebook every year, like practice plans. Like if he went into this showing like, oh, they said I got it off of Madden, and he shows practice plan September 12th, 2020, like that helps his case. When he goes out there and he's like, is that against the law? Am I in jail? And does that, like you want to jump through the television.
I get it.
He didn't help his fucking case. Like it's.
I know.
Do you think it's fair to say that you doing your due diligence, like I could see if I had the facts that you had, the facts that we put up on the screen, I would probably schedule the game. Do you think it's fair to say that there's
ESPN?
Things, but do you think there's things behind,
I was a
behind the
matchmaker.
scenes?
ESPN Paragon made the decision to put it on the airwaves.
But
There's a reason why they didn't comment.
Yeah, that was the interesting thing.
Yes.
Do you think there was
'cause
things
they're
behind the
foolish,
scenes that Roy did that weren't necessarily fair or not even fair, kind of scumbaggy?
The only thing that
I would
the only
probably
thing
schedule
that
the game, but there's things that happen behind the scenes.
the only
Doc,
thing that
make
fucked me up, because I'm an animal lover, is when they said they ran over some geese. That's the only thing that
was
I felt.
fucked.
I think also
the homeless guy and all that stuff. I was like, that guy's a scumbag.
Beating
to
a homeless
degree.
guy.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Domestic violence, obviously.
Domestic violence.
That's
is also-
where
yeah.
The domestic violence. More to come on that. Ashley, the girl in the documentary. Again, go to my site. Look what she posted there. She's got an attorney. She's going after HBO. They were not approved. I've been told by her they were not approved to use her name or image in the documentary, and they did anyway, which is
Well, that's a
not a
shame,
good
but he
idea.
did plead to that though. So he is, he did plead to
some of the actions,
a lighter case of assault.
Some of the actions, it's hard to feel bad for the guy because, again, people with good hearts are still do fucked up things, and that's where it's sometimes, look at this guy. Rico definitely isn't the.
I don't think people with good
guy.
hearts put kids in harm's way. So I disagree with you, Marty.
No, I think that things got away from him. Listen, I'm not standing up for the guy. I don't know him well. You've been through with him. I understand that, and I appreciate you coming on and like talking about the truth
Too.
that you know and all that. It's a very interesting conversation. I don't know enough information myself. I still say fuck that guy. And I'll tell him that tomorrow. But I want to hear his side,
Absolutely.
unfiltered. I don't want cuts. It's gonna just be like tell us
Documentaries do have narratives, so I understand that,
100%
and I would
they
love to
do.
have him on and hear what he has to say.
100%. It's very interesting shit because I don't know anything about high school sports. The only thing I hear is from fucking Bosco over there.
That's the interesting. The other interesting part too is that like the matchmaker. First off, I do think you're perfectly cast when they
Yes,
when they
you
scroll
were
in.
right.
Yes.
Casting.
It's like it's unbelievable. But how did you get into like this business?
So,
Like because
yeah,
you
I
also
don't-
said
again,
it's not it's
again,
a hobby,
I
but
don't do this for a living. This is a hobby for me. I went to Florida State, got a master's in sports management. I was on Coach Bowden's staff for 2 years in the recruiting department. So I love football. I love high school football. I wanted to try to use my sports management master. So I started this company in 2015. My first client was Don Bosco out of New Jersey because they were winning national championships back then. They had a hard time finding games. Once you're doing well in the world of high school football, it's like you become the town leper and nobody wants to schedule you anymore. So I talked to the AD and I go, dude, I was in college. I know people. So the first game I ever got them, I got them a home and home series with Cincinnati Moeller, another great football brand. And then I told myself, I said, you know what? If Bosco's having these problems, other teams have to be having them. So I started this website, prepgridironlogistics.com. And in 8 years, I have over 400 clients now who call me when they want to play the best out-of-state competition. Like this weekend, you see my tan. I was in Fort Lauderdale.
Yep.
I don't know. We had 7 games in Fort Lauderdale this weekend. St. John Bosco played St. Thomas Aquinas. St. Francis played Chaminade Madonna. Those are my games. So teams call me when they want to play the best. Like Sycamore was the only team that got back to me when I put that scheduling alert out there. Who wants to play IMG on national TV on Sunday, August 29th? They were the only team. And like I said, I waited like an extra week or two for somebody else.
Yep.
And it just never happened. But I wasn't worried about it because the same 2 teams played 10 months earlier, and the score was almost the same. And another thing, people thought that Sycamore sucked, that they were fucking horrible. 5 nights after IMG played Bishop Sycamore, they stayed in Ohio the whole week because they were playing in Cincinnati. Remember, that game was on a Sunday night. 5 nights later, on Friday night, IMG beat LaSalle, Cincinnati LaSalle, who's a 4-time champion in Ohio. Beat them by almost the same score as Sycamore. So Sycamore wasn't as bad a team as you thought. They were just as good as LaSalle.
Well, their record was what, like 7 and.
Seven.
They weren't champs.
Well, the running
7-23.
That seems
How
bad
many
to me.
other teams in America have worse records than that? A lot.
The running clock helps that a little bit too, though.
Exactly. I get it. Yeah.
No, but you're right.
IMG also put a running clock on LaSalle. That's
Okay.
my point.
All right.
So they weren't. Bishop Sycamore wasn't far off from the top 20 best teams in Ohio.
There was just some bad plays. I think the quarterback getting hurt probably didn't help him and all that.
Well, I think just the visual of like them. It's just tough when they, like you said, you thought you're thinking the ESPN guys aren't prepared, but them come on the field, they have different helmets, and helmets are flying off the field, and then he gets hurt. There's no trainer. Then all of a sudden you have this kid in who clearly hasn't played quarterback, and they have just a D1 pass rushes come imposing on him. So the visual, I think, just pushing back on a little bit.
I think kids also getting evicted also might have hurt them.
Well, I'm just talking about the game, but obviously, no, of course.
That doesn't help you play football either.
That's the thing that I don't know with like. It's not necessarily things that happen on the football field with like IMG. I've seen high schools switch helmets and shit. So that part, the helmets, I was like disgusted at, but wasn't the craziest thing. It was the things off the field with the loans, the evictions that really blew my mind. Where I was like, this guy might be a scumbag.
Might be?
Yeah. So like, I'd love to get him on the show, kind of press
He'll get him
on.
on.
Like,
He'll come on in the next 48 hours at the worst.
It wasn't even because it was the last 20 minutes of the doc where they talk about all the loans and shit. That was the stuff that was like, holy fuck.
Again, you know what I know now.
Right.
That almost all that documentation was signed by the players many, many months before they enrolled at Sycamore or even knew who Roy Johnson was.
That's a wild coincidence, though, isn't
it? Is there
it?
part of you that like? I'm just playing devil's advocate. Do you not think that he could have just forged those signatures? He took like their social
No, the
security
kids. They
numbers?
had videos of the kids signing it. No,
Okay.
my thing is it's quite a coincidence that so many kids in the team all were part of the same scam unknowingly to each other. That doesn't smell right to me.
And again, in my opinion, they all did it on their own because of the USA Academy situation where some of those kids came from, knowing what they could get away with.
But what about the evictions in terms of, were they like, are these evictions, are you saying, were they like their own apartments? Because I guess I was in the interpretation they were coming to play, like coming here to take school here, so they were giving them some sort of housing.
No, again, he was doing what it would take to survive. He was on survival mode. He says in the documentary he was shocked that a hotel told him, "You could stay here and we'll be in 90 days." So he was like, "Cool, we have places to live for the next 3 months." That's how they operate.
That's not how adults operate, though.
But that's. They were all in survival mode.
That's scamming. That's scamming.
That's ripping someone off. Someone owns that hotel. It didn't get paid. That sucks.
I get it. I'm not for that. I'm just
Yeah.
saying.
No, I'm saying, what about the
things were done?
That makes me question his heart, though. You said he has a good heart.
Those things were done to keep the kids around so they could play in the games, get exposure, and possibly get a college career.
What about I'm saying, where these evictions, like how did they, like, I guess I'm asking, what's the deal with that? If you have any info on that at all?
You got to ask him that.
Kids also complained about not being fed properly. They had video evidence of that. It looked like
And that's what
you wouldn't need that in prison.
That's what we have to ask him.
You got to ask him. But again, if you go on my site, nationalhsfb.com, there's tons of players saying they were fed beautifully and had beautiful roofs over their heads.
Beautiful, for 3 months until they got evicted. Maybe. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, beautiful.
But
Yeah.
that was better than them being at home.
That's where, and the one comment he had was like these hotels or whatever was telling me I could pay 3 months late. It was a bad comment where he's like, they're telling me I don't have to pay and then I'm not going to pay. That's where, like, again, you're not
Paintball as well. Like he's ripping off small businesses. That's evil.
No, yeah,
there's
evil things in
a
there.
A lot of evil stuff that I don't see. I know you know Roy Johnson. I don't, but he seems like a horrible person to me.
And that's why I think that it will be getting your side now and then actually talking to him would be fucking fantastic.
And you could talk to his Ashley, who's really pissed. She's the most pissed off person on Twitter right now that her name and likeness was used without permission in the documentary. She'll come on the show too. There's a lot of people fuming over this. And I appreciate you guys just letting us get some of the truths out. Again, if you want to learn more about the truth, nationalhsfb.com. We'll get Roy on here in the next 48 hours. And there's a documentary being made with his side of the story that I'm sure will get way better ratings than this one, than the current one.
Should we play the clip of? So can you give the background on what this clip really is? It seems like it's Justin Daniels and
So one of the two players in the documentary who's a real opponent, against Roy. This is a video. This is a video that was an interview he had right a couple of days either before or after the IMG game. Now remember, right? He's a proponent. Roy's the devil to him. Roll it.
Good question for this. So, do you have any like Jay Knight was a good example. You used that a couple times. Are you all like around them like daily and stuff? Do you see them going to classes? Like, where is it all online? I assume.
Yeah, it's all online. I see them daily though. We stay inside the same apartments.
Okay.
And that's another thing. We stay inside the apartments, and some of the younger guys though they stay with Coach Roy sometimes. Like some of the 15-year-olds and the 16-year-olds, they'll stay with Coach Roy. And that's why, like, when I seen Coach Roy getting bashed, like, oh, this is a bad coach. Like, people don't understand the real Coach Roy. Like, this man gave up privacy in his own home, took food off his table to make sure somebody else's kids were straight.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's a lot of.
That was while he was still on the team. So maybe once you're removed from it, though, you can understand how you might have a different perspective, or maybe when things have happened, you might realize this
definitely puts
right.
a gray to his defense. It definitely puts a gray area.
Guys, he was one of the main characters of the documentary.
He
was. He was in Columbus, Ohio, a total of 12 days.
So therefore, then almost it makes that sort of relevant. Then how would he know he says he sees kids take classes and stuff. He was only there for 12 days.
He's also like when you're in that, you're probably like you probably know what to say to people when you're in it or whatever. Like the kids might not be also telling the full truth too.
My question is, what changed between that video and when he was interviewed by freaking HBO Max?
Yeah, it's
and guys, he's a up and coming rapper. Did you watch the end of the documentary?
They used this song.
Yeah, they used this song. How did that happen? An unsigned emerging artist.
When was that interview?
In my opinion, that was the reward for lying.
I agree that was not a good look. I would agree with you on that.
Good song though.
It was a great song, man. I've been listening to it over and over.
There's definitely, but I kind of think that he could be using it to propel his rap career, but it's also he might just be growing up and realizing, holy fuck, they kind of exploited me when I was 19 years old, and now I'm 23, and I realize it's fucked up. Don't you think there's that possibility?
Yeah, there's definitely a possibility.
Yes, and that's my understanding of the situation.
Yeah, I do think that the rap thing kind of opens my eyes a little bit to it, but I do think there's some growing up to do. Where, like, when I was 19,
I've been in situations where I'm like, oh fuck, that might have not been okay.
Yeah,
then but it's like,
guys, the other guy, questionable, in my opinion, honesty-wise, is A.B. Pahokee.
Was he
right after the documentary aired?
At the end,
he started a GoFundMe page to raise money for himself.
Yeah, listen. I have
It's a lot of layers.
I know there's so many layers that I'm not well enough to talk about.
You will when Roy comes on in the next few days.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah, if you get Roy on, we'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you
Thanks so much for coming on.
And letting us come after you and you come back.
Thanks for letting some of the truth get out. Again, we all know what he did was fucked up, a lot of the things, but I wanted you to know that what was shown in the documentary, a lot of it is twisted. They took interviews from 2018 and 2019 players and made it think, everyone in this room think like they played in that IMG game. Total farce. And I'm glad the world is starting to see what really went on.
Thanks so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you. What's up? Oh,
you guys have anything else?
No, I think that's good.
Oh, it's definitely interesting.
The Barstool Radio is up next. Hopefully we'll have Roy Johnson on, and that'd be great. Thank you for your time, and we will see you guys tomorrow.